good morning and really a nice morning over most of the state here. One exception, the far northwest, but high pressure and a cool, dry air mass currently in place over the state, but that's going to change fairly rapidly as we look ahead. The last week, and of course, given where we are here in the season, lots of actually some field work actually getting done, courtesy of a little bit lesser precipitation than we've seen over the last several weeks. On the right-hand side here, most areas had half an inch or less, and that was the, well, relatively driest week in many areas that we've had for a while. A couple of exceptions to that, northern lower, where we did see some more widespread rain, but the big one was the far southern part of lower Michigan, where we've had more frequent rain and actually some heavier rain, still including some 1 to 2 inch totals here for the last week. So if you were in one of those areas, it's been still a little bit of a rough go here trying to get things moving. But in other areas, things have really receded and probably will, with some luck here over the next couple of days. Although we still are in, I think one of the messages today, we're still in a pretty active weather pattern across the upper Midwest. So that not many changes there. It was also for most areas warmer than normal this past week. On the left-hand side, our mean temperatures ranging from, well, near or even a degree below normal in the far northern part of the state to 2 or 3 degrees Fahrenheit warmer than normal down across the south and especially the southwest. Soil moisture here, this is, and I just wanted to show some of the correlation between the rainfall we've seen over the last couple of weeks. But this is looking at the top 3 feet generally of the soil. So it's a large profile here. It's not just the surface, but some of the subsoil as well. But we can see with the colors here, some of the blues, well, the grays are basically percentiles, which are close to normal for this time of the year for mid-May. We do have some blues both in the far north, which indicate a little wetter than normal, and also in the far south and actually to our south across areas of the Ohio Valley. They've had more rain down there, but the area of note, especially here across the central lower peninsula, and even into some parts of the southern lower peninsula here, where some of the tans and browns, suggesting a little dry. It certainly has dried out in the last 1 or 2 weeks, and again, that has made a big difference in terms of field work activity, especially recently. Soil temperatures, both regionally, and then an example here from East Lansing, but with the warmer than normal week on the upper right hand side here, you can see with the air temperatures in red, and then the bars here are 2-inch soil temperatures. You can see that we've warmed up a little bit. Most temperatures, 2-inch soil temperatures in Michigan range from the mid and upper 50s in the far north to the upper 60s across the far south. And you can actually see on the lower left hand, there's some areas now in the Corn Belt where the mean 2-inch temperature is above 70. We're not quite there yet, but again, we have made progress. And looking on the upper right-hand side here, this is the last 7 days at East Lansing. You can see, again, we've got some average values here, certainly in the mid to upper 50s. So we've made a lot of progress in terms of warming up the soils just in the last couple of weeks. Degree day totals, not a lot of change to report here, other than we tacked on our base 50 totals now going back to the beginning of March, ranging from about 120 in the far northern parts of the state to more than 400 across the south, especially the southwest. And again, that remains in terms of calendar time from several days to about a week and a half ahead of where we typically are for the middle of May, reflecting a warmer than normal spring for most of the state. One exception, again, up in the western portions of upper Michigan, we're a little bit behind there, but most of the state's still, again, running ahead of normal. Well, outlook-wise, we have a couple weather systems to talk about, one of which, the first one, is not too far away, just off to our west. You can see a frontal boundary here across the upper Midwest, low pressure in Minnesota, and a frontal boundary. That system will be moving or approaching here during the day today. and then move through tomorrow. I'll show you that in the time lapse here. But this will be really our next threat of rainfall. And we already do have some rainfall developing with the system up over far western portions of upper Michigan. But for most areas, we'll see a fairly sunny start for the day with increasing clouds as the day goes on. It will be noticeably warmer today than it has been over the last couple. Also, a wind shift. We had sort of a nice northeasterly breeze yesterday. The shift out of the south and southwest here today, and we will see our maximum temperatures during the day, mostly in the low and mid 70s. So noticeably warmer than we had upper 60s to near 70 the last couple days, but a few degrees warmer than that here today with increasing clouds and the development of rain, mostly showers with a couple embedded rumbles of thunder by late in the day or early, most areas late in the by evening, and then continuing overnight into tomorrow. And you can see again on the left-hand side, this is some of the beginning of that pattern, setting up here some of the precipitation, Wisconsin, and then there's another area down here in Missouri. Although most of what will impact Michigan is this northern area up here from Minnesota down into Wisconsin. So again, expect that, look for that here later today. How much rain? And this is a big one for those of you who are, again, trying to get things done. Probably not, this is not a big rain producer. Most areas, probably a couple tenths of an inch is what we'll be looking at. And there will be a few areas where it's less than that, I think. This is not a widespread heavy rainfall producer, but I think, again, the most important message is probably most areas less than a quarter of an inch. So even if you do get rain, be ready to go because conditions probably will change or improve quite a bit as time goes on here over the next few days. We are looking at a warm and mostly dry pattern, at least into the weekend. Here's the map for this evening. Again, the system approaches from the west, and you can see the greens there over much of Michigan. So that's the best chance, at least in time-wise, will be overnight tonight, the greatest threat of rain with this particular system. One topic we haven't talked about for a little while, and I just wanted to throw this in here because it showed up again this past the past couple days, but that's we have smoke from fires in Canada once again to deal with, and because of northwesterly flow aloft, have made it down into the upper Midwest, including portions of Michigan over the last few days. It's been more the concentrations in areas to our west, or out over Minnesota and the Dakotas, but some of that smoke has reached down here. Most of the smoke is from wildfires in northern British Columbia, so it's a long, long way away. But it's a reminder, the reason I put it in here, that this issue that we saw last year several times during the growing season, we probably have not seen the last of it, and we may, and well, the fires, some of which smoldered all winter, and now, given recent mild and dry weather, have grown once again and are a problem for the Canadians to deal with. Well, some of that smoke has made it down here. Now, that said, we will be looking at a jet stream pattern, probably with more southwesterly flow or westerly flow here in the upcoming several days or week. And so the odds or the likelihood of seeing some of the smoke come down from the northwest is probably reduced. But I just wanted to throw it out here because we probably will see some episodes from time to time because there are large fires still burning up to our north, and then probably unfortunately see some hazy skies from that once again, maybe a little bit like what we did last year. By tomorrow morning, weather map shows the frontal boundary just moving into western lower Michigan with, again, scattered showers continuing especially during the morning hours before dissipating or ending by tomorrow night. And then by Saturday morning here at 8 o'clock, mostly clear or mostly fair skies across Michigan. Now, one other thing of note here, we will see a noticeable warming trend into the weekend. I mentioned warmer temperatures tomorrow. It will be even warmer than that this weekend. Most areas seeing high temperatures from the upper 70s to low, maybe a couple of even mid 80s on Saturday and Sunday. With some residual moisture from the system that's going through right now, we could see, can't rule out an isolated shower or thunder shower in some areas, but that would definitely be the exception rather than the rule. Most areas will remain dry and warm, very summer-like this weekend. So Again, back to one of the original points, there are going to be opportunities here for people to get work done outside. Not only warm temperatures and again summer-like conditions, but high potential of evapotranspiration rate, so high evaporative demand. So even in areas that pick up a tenth or two of an inch of water here, that would be 1 day's worth of potential evapotranspiration, at least the reference value here coming up over the weekend. So stand by even if you get a little bit of rain, because it probably will be drying out fairly quickly. One major system, though, I do want to talk about looking further ahead. Most of the model guidance is suggesting here the likelihood of more rain early next week, beginning in some portions of the state, maybe as early as the late in on Monday, but more likely on Tuesday into Wednesday. This is a forecast map for conditions on Tuesday evening, and you can see an area of low pressure, another one, and yet another weather system. We've seen many of those over the last few weeks up over the northern part of the state, and then that drags a frontal boundary through to the south. That will probably be the largest, or at least potentially the largest rain producer that we have in the upcoming week. And most of the guidance is suggesting right now, at least at this point, that we could see some 1/2 to 1 inch totals with this one. So out of all the upcoming week, this is probably right now thought to be the major threat for any significant rainfall. If we add all that up between now and next Thursday, rainfall potentials, and you can see from the map, there's a lot of colors on there, back to wetter than normal conditions here. So many areas 1 to 2 inches totals. And again, a good chunk of that would be with that system I just showed here for early next week. But until then, looking at probably fairly decent conditions other than the next 24 hours with rapid drying. In the medium range forecast guidance, continuity or more the same here for the 21st to the 25th. The 6 to 10 day outlook suggests that Michigan is a little bit on the transitional area between a warmer and an active storm track here to our south. But warmer than normal, normal to above normal temperatures, the continuation, but also the even more importantly, above normal precipitation totals with that storm track. That's consistent with the 8 to 14 day time frame. But as we look into the 8 to 14 day, notice we still have wetter than normal conditions suggested here for the end of May, but we've cooled down our mean temperatures, and there's a little bit of disagreement with some of the guidance. I would say the confidence might be a little bit less than it is normally at this time of the year. It is a transitional season, but it does suggest that maybe a moderation in temperatures here by the last week of May, but still that active storm track. So again, as always in the spring in Michigan, the moral is if you've got that opportunity, try and take advantage of it. You'll be better off for it in the long term, but our outlook still suggests a pretty active weather pattern across the upper Midwest, and that again, that's going to continue to be a sort of a headache to plan around and get to and take care of things here at this time of the year. So summarizing here, wrapping things up, looking at rain for the next day, the next weather system here, but a fairly warm and mostly dry weekend and into the beginning of next week. And then again, as I showed you, the likelihood of a bigger weather system probably by the early to middle part of next week, and a little bit more of the same active weather pattern for the next couple weeks on the medium range. Our temperatures still ranging above normal for most areas of the state, and that's going to directly relate to increased or above normal potential of evapotranspiration, so greater than normal drying. So that's a good thing too. Again, even with the rain, things dry out more quickly than they typically do. And with that, I'm going to stop for now. We can take some questions later, but I'm going to introduce next week's speaker on our virtual breakfast series. On the 23rd, we're going to have Scott Bales, who will be with us to talk about dry beans. It's that Scott's done that before, and looking forward to hearing what he has to say here. And again, that's on the 23rd, so don't miss that. And with that, I'm going to hand back over to Phil to talk about our UP credits. Thanks.